Joining us right now, we are joining you on this somber day to say a final farewell to a state trooper killed in the line of duty, Trooper First Class Aaron Pelletier, who died last Thursday. As we were just talking about, he was performing a traffic stop when tragically a hit-and-run driver killed him. And today, as we were just discussing, thousands are coming to remember this brave officer, husband and father. The procession just got underway from the Della Vecchia Funeral Home in Southington, so you're probably noticing it as they move down Queen Street. Southington was the home of Trooper Pelletier. He grew up there, he went to high school there, played football there. This procession will travel to Xfinity Theater in Hartford, where a public funeral will be taking place, and we are going to have team coverage of this final farewell for Trooper Pelletier, and Lieutenant Fantz will be here to help us every step of the way. Right now, I would like to go to Channel 3's chief political reporter, Susan Raff, who is in Hartford right now. Susan.
Kara, the overwhelming support is so very clear here. And if you've ever been to a funeral for a state trooper or a police officer, it is really quite overwhelming to see how many people come. Thousands of police officers and state troopers. We spoke to people from New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, New England. This is a scary reminder for all law enforcement of how dangerous this job really can be. And as you mentioned, Trooper Aaron Pelletier grew up in Southington. That community is devastated by what has happened. For them, he is their hometown hero. And for these particular law enforcement officers, this, again, is a very difficult time. Now, there are a lot of younger police officers and state troopers here, and for them to know that this can happen to anyone at any time. As you mentioned, Trooper Aaron Pelletier was only 34 years old. He leaves behind a wife, Dominique, and two young sons, Troy and Zachary. We are waiting right now for the hearse carrying Trooper Pelletier's body to come into the Xfinity Theater. I want to take out a little look so you can see what's happening behind me. This entire parking lot is filled with cars, and the service will start at 11 o'clock. It will go for about 2 hours. The family has not yet arrived. Some are on a bus that have now going into the Xfinity. But we also had a chance to talk to a bus driver, believe it or not, someone who is taking some of the law enforcement here. And the driver told me that his son recently retired as a police officer from Middletown. And so he understands the sacrifice that these police officers and state troopers make every day. We have seen many going into the theater right now. They have come from all over. I think Pennsylvania might be the furthest, but I could be wrong about that. Everyone here feels a sense of sadness. We spoke to Chief Jacobson from New Haven, who told me that it's very difficult to recruit police officers now, given the nature of the job. And, you know, there's a police shortage everywhere. So it is very difficult at this time. But today it is all about Trooper Aaron Pelletier, honoring this man who died doing the job that he loved.
Susan, thank you so much, Susan, who's reporting live for us from Xfinity Theater right now. And I'm here with Lieutenant J. Paul Vance as we're talking about all of the things. We have officers, you said, who will come from far, far away, yes, from Canada even, maybe the West Coast. Yep. It's really up to those officers, but this is a public funeral. Everyone is invited, and the call to go honor one of your own is strong, right? It's
very, very strong. You'll see the inclusive of people not only from the great New England states, but as you said, Canada. I've seen funerals here in the state of Connecticut where they come from the West Coast. They come from all over the country because it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood, if you will.
Yeah.
And it affects everyone, again, not just the people in the state of Connecticut, but all across the country when they hear about some tragedy like happened to Trooper First Class Pelletier.
Especially someone, as you mentioned, who's done so much work in a young career, but who is so young, who leaves behind two young children, a wife. I do want to take a moment now and just honor the man behind the badge that Trooper Aaron Pelletier wore with pride. He was born in 1989. He grew up in Southington. He played football at Southington High School, graduated in 2007, and went on to Central Connecticut State University, where he graduated in 2012. There's a picture of his beautiful family. You can see every every picture. They even said that in the obituary. You can see his love of his family and how happy he was. So many people talked about his warm smile every time they saw him. He was a state trooper for 9 years. For the last 3 years, he was also a canine officer with his partner, Rosso. Trooper Pelletier, as we've been saying, lives behind his wife, Dominique, and 2 young sons, Zachary and Troy. He was only 34 years old. He would have turned 35 in August. It has been a hugely difficult 24 hours for family, friends, and fellow law enforcement brothers and sisters who've paid their last respects to Trooper Pelletier during the wake at the Della Vecchia funeral home, and that was last afternoon and evening last night. We had tons of family and friends, and then we also had officers coming from near and far who may not have known him, but as Lieutenant Vance has said, just the brotherhood and the sisterhood calls them here. During times of crisis, people often want to find a way to help. The Connecticut State Police has set up an official GoFundMe. The numbers so far have been staggering. They were seeking to raise $500,000. We are just over that now, of almost $507,000. All of the money raised will go to Trooper Pelletier's young family. We do have a link on our website and the WFSB app if you would like to contribute. I was looking and noticing some small donations, anywhere from $10, $20 to large donations of $7,500 anonymous. So anyone who is moved by this or who wants to make sure that at least financially this young family will be okay, that is how you can support them. Again, this is a GoFundMe that has been approved and organized by the Connecticut State Police, so you can feel confident in that. We are expecting to see a huge show of support from the law enforcement community. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back, but right